What's up, nail friends? My client Sarah is back. Check out her ring there. She's getting married soon. Isn't it beautiful? So I have to prep her nails. This set was a set she wanted before her wedding set. So we're kind of like easing her into her wedding nails. So we're going to do pinks and whites and nudes. And then her next set will be her wedding set. So I have to prep her nails. This whole video will be in real time. I'm just using a cuticle tool to gently push back the skin. You can see how much skin is coming up off the nail plate. You're going to want to get rid of all of that because that will cause lifting. So I'm going to be using a really gentle diamond tool here. This is from Get Buff Nails. I'm just using this around the cuticle area, and I'm going down one side. And I'm going to do this on all the nails. Her skin is super, like, she hasn't had her nails done in a long time. So she's got a lot of cuticle buildup. And yeah, so I got to really go in there with the tools. But you got to be careful because when your client hasn't had their nails done for a long time or their skin touched, you could cut them more easily. And you can see how much skin she has here. So I'm just going to remove all of this. And then we're going to switch our tool to the smaller tool. So I use a couple tools from Get Buff Nails. This one's one of my favorites, but then I'm also going to switch to this one. It's kind of like a flame bit without the point at the end. That's what I like to call it. And it's great for beginners if you're a beginner and you need a tool that's kind of safer, easier to use around this area. This is one I highly recommend. So I'm just going in, and this will just get up and out anything that you missed with the first tool. And then moving on, I'm using one of these teardrop tools. This just helps get the skin out of the way and exfoliate. And I'm just going around. It'll move the skin out of the way, which helps with application as well. So that's kind of where we're at with prep. I'm also going to shorten and shape the tip of her natural nails. So I'm using a 240 grit to do that. Just want to make them more rounded out so they fit a little better and easier with my forms, because I am going to sculpt this set. So if you guys, I haven't been sculpting very often lately, but I do really like to do custom sculpts when I'm in the mood. So that's what I decided to do here. When your client has, actually someone asked me what makes you choose to do sculpting versus tips. This client has a great natural nail shape, and my forms go right under snug and right around her sidewalls there. So that's what I decide. If someone has like really short bitten nails or something like that, I would just use tips. But she had a great foundation. So you'll see that this form has been cut custom. You can see I cut out the center, and that way I can get really deep under there. So watch, and there, say I cut the form. And that way I can get under the sides and then push it all the way up and under. So if you can't get your form out, you have spaces, you can customize your form and cut it to fit under your client's nails. If you guys want me to do a form video, let me know, and maybe I can get that done for you. So I cut some of the forms, and some of the forms I didn't need to cut. The forms from Glitterbels that I use here have a really deep curve, so they're really great. And they have a cutout on the sides as well, which just make it a little easier. So that's what I'm doing here, just applying forms. I'm only applying them on the first 4 nails. I am not wearing gloves because these forms are absolutely way too sticky. They are so sticky, I cannot put them on with gloves. I've tried so many times, they'll just tear and rip. They stick to everything. They're really, really sticky. So I don't wear gloves during this part, but I will put on gloves later on in the video. Personally, I like wearing gloves. It protects me as the nail tech from contact dermatitis and overexposure. I use nail products all day long, all the time, so I definitely need to be more careful as someone doing the nails. Yeah, so that's why I prefer to wear gloves. So I'm only putting my primer, my dehydrator on the 4 nails that I'm going to be working on, and then I do her thumb after, and then I work on her other hand. So I'm going to sculpt her set in clear. The brush I'm using is my Glitterbels size 10 brush, using the very tip of the brush there to just get in on the nail and down the sides. Now I'm going to use my brush to pat and push the product where I want it, not let it like fall down my forms. And then she wanted them like medium length, not too long. So I'm going to go to about the 4, close to the 4. And then I'm just going to keep trying to make this even and pull up my sidewalls so they don't fall down the form. Patting, wiping off my brush, and then cleaning up the free edge, I guess you could call it, the end of the nail that I'm creating. I always find that when I work on sculpting, my first bead is kind of like, it's like my practice nail. The pinky is my practice nail. I always find it a little more difficult, and then you kind of get the groove. So I'm just sitting here, applying that, got that down, and now I'm going to apply a small thin bead on her natural nail, cleaning off my brush, and then pushing up towards the cuticle area, patting and pulling that down into the bottom half of that nail. So I am applying a clear base over the entire nail, and then I will file and shape and everything. So that's what I did on that nail. Moving on, I'm going to do this across the board on all the nails. I place my bead down. You can see it doesn't move around. That's what you want. You don't want your bead to be dripping or too dry. So it's not really moving, and I can use my brush to pat and pull the product where I want it. Make sure you get your clear all the way into your sidewalls there of the natural nail. You want to make sure you cover the natural nail. And then I am pulling the product down. So this form I cut, so I will need to make this longer on the form, so it might go past the 4, whereas the other nail I went to the 4, and that's because I cut some away. So you're going to need to remember which nails forms you cut to make sure that you fix like the length, and make sure you don't have one that's shorter than the other because you cut that form and didn't remember. So I like to pat, wipe off my brush, and fix the tip, and then pat the side, pull it up, and then I'm trying to make it really even because I just like to make everything even and clean and as perfect as can be before we start. I like to have a nice even base, nothing too like sloppy or messy, and make sure you don't get product on the skin, just on the nail and the form. I do the same thing on every single nail here until I reach until I finish the middle finger, and then I'm going to start pinching the nails. So I will just let you guys watch, and then we'll come back on with my voiceover in a minute. When sculpting, I get about 3 nails done before I need to go back and pinch. If you know what pinching is, it is just a tool that looks like this, and you just place it right next onto the nail, like the natural nail, and then you kind of pinch the enhancement so that you get a deeper C curve. So the C curve is the curve of the enhancement. So when you look down the barrel, you have like a curve, and it looks like a C. So we call it a C curve. So that just makes your enhancement a little bit stronger, having a deep C curve. Anyways, so then after I got the pinky on, I'm going to work on the pointer finger, and I'm just sculpting that. But this nail is kind of blurry, so I think I end up skipping ahead here just because it's blurry. So then after that, I just apply my pinching tool on the next finger and the next finger, and then I will apply a form on her thumb, apply my primer and top coat and all that, and then yeah. So here you see me, I skipped ahead a little because it was blurry, and now I'm just adding that base on the natural nail part, trying to make it blend into the bottom half of the nail, and then I'm just patting and pulling that into place. Then I'm going to add my pinching tool, check my pinky, move it on to the next nail, and you can see I'll pinch it there, and it kind of brings in the sidewalls, just gives it a more tapered look as well, which looks, in my opinion, looks a little better, but it's totally not needed if you don't know how to do it or you don't want to do it. It does add a little bit of extra time to your service, but I personally think it's worth it when doing new sets, and yeah, I think it looks nice. So anyways, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pinch all her nails, sculpt all her nails, and then I will file, shape, and get all ready for colored acrylic and put my gloves back on. Okay, so here's how they look after they've been sculpted, all the nails. And then I'm going to show you, here's what they look like when that's off. I do like to bring up my sidewalls because you can see when sculpting, they come down a little bit. And then I'm going to bring those up to make it nice and even. And then I'm going to file all of this, all the nails, nice and thin, so I can start my colored acrylic. So I am using a hand file to do this. Just up the side. And then I'm going to go over everything with a sanding band. So first I'm taking my file and I'm just thinning out everything. I wanted to make sure that this was really, really thin because the nails aren't super, super long. I don't want to add bulk and thickness that I'm going to end up filing off at the end. So I really want my clear base to be really, really thin. So I was watching my time here, and I think it took me about an hour to prep and apply a clear base. So just keep that in mind. If you're not using tips, that sculpting takes a little bit more time than applying tips would. So now I'm taking my sanding band and I am going over everything again, just so I can make it even and thin. I'm really not taking a lot off. You can hardly see any dust coming up and off, but I was just trying to make sure that they were even and thinning them out definitely around the cuticle area because I don't want these to be bulky. Nothing is worse than thick, bulky nails. Then I'm going to take a cleansing brush with some alcohol and I'm going to scrub, scrub, scrub and cleanse all of that dust off the nail before we go in with our colored acrylic. This client is an ex-client I used to do a long time ago. I haven't seen her for a few years, so this is just because I'm doing her wedding nails. She lets me do basically whatever I want, just gives me like a color palette idea. So she wanted them to kind of be close, like, you know, nude and pink and white. So I decided to go in on her ring finger and her thumb with white satin. And this is a beautiful white from Glitterbels. You can see it has some shimmer in it, so it's really easy to work with. It's great for ombre, it's great for marble, and it's nice and like bright. It's really, really pretty. I really like it. So I am applying this just on the tip. You can see me patting and pulling that into place. I want to make sure it's really even at the tip. Pat, pat, pat. And then I blended it upward because I'm going to be doing an ombre nail on 2 of the nails here. And on her thumb as well. I didn't show you guys a lot of her thumb being like built or anything, but I did want to show you applying the color. A lot of people ask what's on the thumb, and I always forget to show what's on the thumb, but yeah, it's ombre. So you can see I pull my brush and I just lightly and gently feather that product up towards the cuticle area, and then we will pat the product into place to make sure that it is super even before applying our next color. So I'm going to be using nude for that, but I'm going to let this dry. I always let my ombre dry before I go in and apply more. So you can see it's not finished yet on that ring finger, but I'm going in with the middle finger here with glitter. This is such a pretty glitter. It's kind of like, if you guys have Rainbow Crush, it's kind of like Rainbow Crush with a bunch of chunky silver chunks in it. It's super cool. It's super pretty. This is called Garter. So it's one of the glitters from the wedding kind of collection of Glitterbels. So I'm applying this all over this nail. It's kind of sparse and see-through. So this will be her like super sparkly middle finger. I really like the way this one turned out. It's really pretty. And then this gave her some ideas of what she wanted for her next set. So she does want ombre and 3D flowers next time. She wants the white ombre, glitter, and 3D flowers. So I can't wait to film that and show you guys, because that'll be fun. So I'm applying more at the tip, and then I'm just using my brush to pull it upward towards what I did at the cuticle area. Now I'm patting the product, trying to make it nice and even at the tip. And then again, I will leave this until we need to encapsulate it. So I do like to go back and forth on all the nails and then come back. I don't just stick to one finger at a time. So the ring finger was kind of out of frame, so I can show you guys what I did here. So I'm applying a nude fade, right? So I'm using Pinkerbel Cover Shimmer, and instead of starting at the cuticle area, I start along the line, and then I'm just gently fading that down and pulling off the extra product. These two colors blend really well together. So after I did the line, now I can go in with my cuticle bead, place that down, clean off my brush, and then I'm just going to push the product where I want it to go, closer to the cuticle area without touching the skin, and then I'm going to blend it down. I'm moving her finger as well around and just blend, blend, blend. Like I said, super easy colors to blend. So if you struggle with ombre, try these colors. Try a shimmery nude and a sparkly nude and a shimmery white. And that's that. On her pinky and her pointer finger, we're doing a marble. So I did grab a pink to add in there as well. So I think I used Glitterbels baby powder. It's just a pretty shimmery pink, similar to the white. So I just wanted to do white, nude, and the shimmery pink. So I'm just using a 3D brush to do this. So I'm just placing my nude, then my white, and then I'm taking my pink here and I placed it down, and now I'm using my brush to pull the products through. And it'll just create my marble. So I already placed my cuticle area bead, and then I work on my marble after that. So it doesn't need to be perfect or anything, because marble is just, you know, kind of random. So anything I don't like, I could just cover with the glitter. So I'm going to be also using the color Garter on this as well, the glitter. So first I'm just getting full coverage, marbling the colors together, swirling them together, and then I will add some glitter. And that's what I'm just doing on the 2 fingernails there. And then here I'm adding that glitter. So it's kind of a subtle marble on those two nails, but I just thought it would be fun to do a little bit of marble. And that's how that hand looks. They're the same. Both hands are the same. So now we're going to go in and encapsulate. I'm applying a bigger bead a little bit further back, and then I'm just using the tip of my brush to push that close to the cuticle area, create my apex, and then pull it down the nail to create full even encapsulation before we go in and file. You need to encapsulate colored acrylic. You will also need to encapsulate, I'm encapsulating everything, but you need to encapsulate your ombre so you don't file into the blend. And I also am encapsulating to create my apex. So the apex is what creates the strength. So I'm just applying this around the cuticle area and then patting and pulling it into place. Fading that down. Wiping off my brush if I get liquid on it, just so nothing sticks to my brush. It's really annoying when your product sticks to your brush. So you want to make sure your brush is clean and full of, like clean of monomer, clean so it doesn't have any glitter stuck to it or acrylic stuck to it, so that because your acrylic will just, like this would stick to that if I had acrylic stuck to my brush. So I like to make sure my brush is nice and clean. And then I'm patting and pulling this into place and evening out the tip. So that's what I'm going to do on the rest of them, and then I will finish file. So you don't need to pinch again or anything. So this is what they look like. And now we're going to finish file. I'm taking a medium cone carbide, and it's got a safety top, so it's pointed at the tip, so you're not going to cut your client when you go around the cuticle area. Just thinning out her tip, and now I'm going to go around the cuticle area, underneath, pulling up my sidewalls, around, filing it thinner at the cuticle area, keeping my apex in place, and just using this to fully debulk. You'll see not a lot of dust comes up because this is a medium bit and I'm not putting pressure down. I'm just using this to debulk so that I have minimal filing to do by hand. So I'm just trying to get my nail as thin and debulked as possible before going in with a hand file. Recently got this bit in. You guys might have seen me using this in my videos. I go in at the sidewalls here. I also use this bit when I am filing underneath the nail to get rid of that natural nail that grows out with your acrylic enhancements. And I just like it's just like a thin, super thin carbide bit that goes around the cuticle area and underneath. And then I'm going to use my hand file. So I'm using a 150 refill metal file board. These metal file boards are amazing for keeping your acrylic shape that you want because they're not super flexible. So I like to use these for shaping. I do also use a regular flexible file as well, but I do like to start my shaping and especially my sidewalls and my tip with this file. Going under and up. Under and then up, and then I'm holding her finger in place while I go up and down at the tip, just so it's not uncomfortable, but it'll give that nice sharp look to it. Switching to a different file 240 grit file just to go around the cuticle area with. And like I said, this is way more flexible, so I do like to just go in with the 240 before we buff and polish. That will get rid of any of the deeper scratches that I had left behind. I am applying just a couple crystals on this set, so I am using like a pink opal type crystal. I got these from MOONFLAIR. I will link MOONFLAIR down below. And then just some regular clear crystals as well. I thought the pink would add everything, tie everything together, because I added pink on the other two nails. So that's basically all I did, and then I went in with my top coat. So I'm pretty sure I'm using my Holo top coat again. It's my favorite top coat. I literally want to use it on everyone. I don't know why, it's just so pretty. It's just so pretty. So I'm using Holo top coat because these have a lot of sparkle in them, so why not? And you can see I added some more crystals into this set. And yeah, basically that's it. And then, yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you like, subscribe, and follow for more. Make sure you turn the bell on to never miss a video. This set took me exactly 2 hours and about 7 minutes. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!